Hello, welcome to another video tutorial in JavaScript, and in this video tutorial I'm going to talk about math objects. So math objects are very common and useful methods and functions built in JavaScript that developers use to develop games, for example, or whenever they have equations or complex results that they need for their applications or games or whatever, they use math objects in JavaScript to calculate those equations. I'm just going to show you just a few simple examples, okay? And so to start, I'm going to type, let's type document write. And to create or to use a math object, the first thing you have to do is type math between the parentheses and with capital M, and then you type dot, and now you can use whatever object or method you want. There are many that you can use. I'm going to use the first one that is called round, and then parentheses. So I'm calling these objects. So we didn't talk about objects yet. I'm going to do a video tutorial about it in JavaScript, and we will learn how to use objects and create objects and what objects are. But for now, you can think of objects as methods or functions, built-in methods or functions in JavaScript. Okay. So now I'm using the round object or method, and between the parentheses I'm going to type 3.2, a decimal number. Okay. So what this will output in the web page is the nearest whole number of 3.2, which is 3. Okay, and as you will see, if you run it, there it is, 3. Okay, so if I type, for example, 3.6 and run this, you'll see that we have 4. Okay, so this is something that is very useful for complex equations and calculations. Normally, as I told you before, normally they are used in development and games and something like that. I don't usually use math objects for my development and applications or websites, but it's something that exists in JavaScript, so I need to talk about it and show you at least some simple examples. And another cool object that you can use, math object, is the random. Okay, so random is something that will calculate a number randomly, or will give you a random number, and this could be useful for example, gambling website with or some kind of lottery or something like that. So I'm gonna give you an example. So the first thing you have to do is between the parentheses, after the parentheses, type the multiply symbol and 100, and after this plus 1. Okay, and we have to wrap it up with a parenthesis here, and there it is. Okay, basically what this will do is give you a random number between 1 and 100. Let me just check this in Chrome, and there it is. Okay, it gives you 44.99, okay, a decimal number. So what about if I don't want a decimal number? So to do it, just have to type in here math dot floor, okay, and wrap this up in let me see, okay, wrap this up in another parenthesis. So let me just save this and let me see if it works. There it is. Okay, perfect. So between 1 and 100, it's given me, as you refresh, anytime you refresh, it gives you a random number. Okay, and you can put here more than 100, 1,000, 200, or 1,000. Okay, so that's basically it. These are just simple math objects examples, and but I'm gonna put in the list, I'm gonna leave you I'm gonna put available a list in the at the end of the chapter with some more math objects that you can use. Okay, guys, as well as the event handlers and some more methods in JavaScript. So if you have any questions, just send me a message or leave your questions in the comment section below, and see you guys later. Bye. Hello guys, welcome to my 20th video tutorial in JavaScript. And finally, this is the video where I'm going to talk a little bit about object-oriented programming. So we already know how to create basic objects in JavaScript, but what is this about object-oriented programming? What this means is basically a way to better organize your code with objects. Okay, so I told you in some videos that objects, it's more or less like functions and have their own properties. So we've created simple objects with 1 functions and 3 parameters, I think, or 3 properties. But let's imagine that we have 50 objects. Each object has 100 functions, and each function has, I don't know, 30 or 40 parameters. So this is what Google, Facebook, and some other big companies in technology have to code. Okay, they code objects, and they have objects in their projects with thousands and thousands and thousands of lines of code. So to better organize all that, they create objects, each object with their own particular functionality for the application. So that's a way that they could organize themselves and know where the object is. By the name of the object, they know what they do, and they can reuse even the objects in other projects using object-oriented programming. So it's programming oriented for objects. Okay, and that's basically it. It's simpler than it seems, and of course we already did some objects, but very simple simple examples. Okay, but we have to start with something. Okay, so this is just I just want you guys to have some idea of what I'm talking when I say that comparing to those big companies or those thousands of lines of code and objects, complex objects with 100 functions each object, comparing to what we are still learning, it's very it's a big difference, right? So that is something that when you have 1, 2, or 3 years of experience in programming, you'll be able to create those type of objects, okay, with 30, 50 functions and a lot of parameters. But we have to start somewhere, so we start with only 1 function for object. You can try your own creation of objects now at this point with 2, 3, or 4 functions and more parameters, and use them. But I'm not going to give you, I'm just going to give you one more example in this video of how to create an object. I'm going to create a calculator that well, it's a simple calculator using an object, but it will create, for example, it will give us a result of a multiplication when I give two different digits, and well, it's simple, but it will give you some another cool idea how objects can work and how you can create something of an object. So let's go straight away to I mentioned I wanted you guys to see the Wikipedia page, because if you want to read more here, you have some more in-depth history. Don't forget, I don't know if I mentioned yet, object-oriented programming is not only for JavaScript. You can apply it to PHP, some other programming languages, so it's generalized. Okay. So here, the first thing I want you guys to do is to create, let's create our simple calculator for multiplication. So let's type two variables. The first one, let's call it first digit equals a prompt. And inside the prompt, let's type your first digit. Second variable, let's call it second digit. 2Ds, yeah, let's leave that with 2Ds. Prompt, type your second digit, and let's push it up. And here, let's create a function. Let's call it calculator. Open parenthesis, open curly braces, and now let's use this to designate a functionality which is going to be called multiplication, and the multiplication is going to be equal to a function. I never mentioned you this before, but I can designate a function to a property, okay? And the function is going to be, it doesn't need a name. You have to only type function. You only need to type function, and here you type val1 as a parameter and val2 as the second parameter, and open and close curly braces, and this function will return val by val2. Okay. Now down here we create the object called calc equals, and the object is going to be called calculator. It needs the same name than the function. Okay, here calculator and parentheses, of course, and the object is now created. Okay, so we have created the object. The function, I designated directly the multiplication or created multiplication property, which is a function that will return the multiplication of the two parameters. Now the parameters need a value, and I'm going to do alert calc, which is the object, and now I'm going to use the property of the object, which is the property multiplication, parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis I'm gonna type the values that I want to give to these parameters, which are the variables that hold the prompt. Okay, whenever I type the values in the prompt that I want, either 30 or 40 or whatever numbers I type, automatically they will be the values of the parameters. They'll return a multiplication, and everything hopefully will work as a multiplication calculator perfectly. So calculator multiplication, and here we type first digit, comma, second digit. Okay, let's save this and let's run this in Chrome. Type your first digit, 2, okay, type your second digit, 3, and there it is. The result, 6. Okay, 2 by 3, 6. Okay, let's try this again. Let's multiply 40 by 30 and 1200. Okay, so you can try yourself. You can, if you want to, try to improve your calculator and make it more complete with divisions and sums and all that. But now you have also another good idea how you can create your own objects. This is all for the video. So if you have any questions, just send me a message or post your questions in the comment section below, and see you guys in the next video. Bye. Hi guys, welcome to my final video tutorial on JavaScript. So I just want to talk, before we end the course or the chapter, I just want to talk to you a little bit about the DOM. So the DOM is something that you'll see a lot around the web and among developers, which is, it stands for Document Object Model. It's a way to represent the objects or the elements in a web page in a map tree. So I'm going to show you a little example. This is an example of a HTML DOM tree with all the elements, and you'll see that we have a kind of a map tree or a family tree with document at the top, root element, and the different tags that you use in a web page. Okay, the body, the title, the head, and this is how a web page is structured in like a family tree. So we have the parent, which is document, and the root is the child of the document. Okay, so it's pretty much like a normal family tree. We call the parents and childs, and the connection between them, we call them the nodes. Okay, so a child node is the connection between a child and a parent, or we can call it parent node. So that's basically it. Now, what this is useful for is for developers to have an idea where they can access or how they can access through JavaScript or other programming languages, how to access normally they use JavaScript because JavaScript is the programming language to access elements in a web page. Okay, that's why JavaScript is so powerful, because JavaScript is basically to access all the elements you need in a web page. And in the web world, JavaScript, you can say JavaScript is the main programming language in the web world. It's very, very powerful. And so obviously experienced developers don't need this map anymore. They know exactly where they need to access. So you guys, if you want to take a look or save this map to your computer just to have understanding how all this works, and how a web page is represented by objects in a DOM tree, you can save this map here. Now I'm going to show you, for example, in JavaScript, let's click JavaScript. I'm going to show you the different properties of the objects, of the built-in objects that you can access. So let me click here. Okay, you have JavaScript objects, and I told you in the I think in a few videos ago, or in the middle of the chapter, I told you that I would put a list of all the functions and properties that you can use in JavaScript, but you can also, and I'm going to do that, but you can also come in here in W3 Schools and search for JavaScript, and here you have JavaScript and HTML DOM reference, and here you can find every single property that or function you can use in JavaScript. Okay, so if you click, for example, remember the math objects that we did. We used the round and the random. So here you have all the methods that you can use in math objects. Okay, remember random, here it is. Okay, so here you can find every single property and method you can use in JavaScript objects. Okay, you have also the browser objects here, and the browser objects basically are the main or the first objects that you use to, for example, output something in your web page, like we use. Like we did with the document. Remember document here? Document is the first thing you need to use to control your web page. Then you have method like, for example, write, and that's when we use document.write. So every time you use document dot or something dot in JavaScript, that means that is an object, and when we type dot after dot, we need to put a method. Okay, or a property or something. So basically you can think of JavaScript as a whole bunch of objects or built-in objects that you can use with a lot of properties and methods. Now here you can find everything you will need. If you don't find it, just send me a message, or if you have any questions, just send me a message or post your question in the comment section below. Anyways, as I told you, I'm going to put a list of properties, objects, and event handlers that you can use in JavaScript at the end of the chapter. Okay, guys. So don't forget that you still have a final project that you can learn and follow in the next videos, which is going to be a login system. A little bit more complex, sorry, that we did in a few videos ago. So that's basically it. Hope you liked the chapter JavaScript, and see you guys in the next chapter, which is going to be PHP and MySQL. Okay, see you guys later, and that's it. Bye. Hi guys, welcome to the final project on the JavaScript chapter. And I'm going to show you right away the final project finished. This is where I have the files of the final project, and I want to say that you can download this. You'll have this available for download at the end of the chapter. Okay, so you can check it out and see the source code. Here's the source code of the final project. It's a very simple form with a few lines of JavaScript, and the result should be something like this. So we have a form. I'm gonna type in the name. We have name, last name, email, password, and confirm password. And I'm gonna type something in the name. As soon as I start typing, you'll have here. Okay, so you'll have here outputs for the result of your of your fields. So let's type the last name. It's okay. Now we can type email. Okay. And now password 12345 and 12345. It's okay, but if I take the 5 out and put 6, you see that your passwords don't match. Okay, it's a very simple form. So pretty much for you to have an idea how to start controlling the inputs or a form to output messages to your users depending on what they type on the fields. Okay, so let's start, and the first thing we're gonna do is create the form with Xhtml. So open HTML, close HTML. Let's type the head tags, close and head, type title here, close title. In the title we can put my form, and in here let's type body and close body. Now inside the body, let me just save this, and I'm gonna save this in let me save this as index.html. Save, and let's create now a form in the body. Let's close form, and now let's create a table, and let's put a border 1. Let's close table. Now in the table, let's type tr td, and here name, td, open td, input type equals text, and let's give it a name, name of name, and ID of name as well. Now close td and close tr, and down here you can pretty much copy this, copy it and paste it down here, and paste one more. So we will have one for name, last name, email, and password, and confirm password. Now make sure here at the end, probably you'll have this problem too. We have to put this symbol here, the bigger than, and I think that's it. Now just a few little changes here. So in here we type last name. Here we can type email, password, and confirm password. Now I have to change here as well. Let's give it a name. Let's call it L name. So just put an L there. L name, L name. Here it's email. Here is password. You can put a password here. Here you can type password as well. And here you can type C password, and here C password, and don't forget here as well password. Okay, so I think we're done. Now we only need the let's just create here an input type for the button. Input type equals submit, value equals submit, and we can type a name here as well, submit. Okay, obviously when we finish the form, the button will not work because we are not sending anything to the server. Okay, this form pretty much we are not sending any information of this form to a database. We will work on that, and we will learn how to send information to a server or to a MySQL database on the PHP chapter. But for now, let's focus only on the creation of the form. Anyways, just put this line to create the input submit button, and basically you'll get an idea how to create the button in the form. Let's save this. Now let's just check this in Chrome and see how it's going. Okay, pretty much that's it. This is the form that we have. Pretty simple. If you want to expand this or put some CSS on it, you can do it if you want to. I'm just going to create this simple as possible, so I can save a lot of time, and so I will skip creating CSS for this. Let me just check here. Let's make here BR a line break so we can give it a space there. Okay, to the button. So submit, nothing happens, of course. Okay, that's it. We will continue with more code in the next video. Okay, see you guys. Bye.